Last episode, the Norsemen unleashed absolute fury. Dragon ships appeared on the horizon. They raided the wealthy monastery of Lindisfarne. Monks were slaughtered without any mercy. The Great Heathen Army invaded the island. They did not come just to raid. They came to conquer the fertile land. Ancient Anglo-Saxon kingdoms fell one by one. Northumbria, East Anglia, and Mercia all collapsed. The Vikings established the vast pagan Danelaw. Only the kingdom of Wessex remained standing. The Great Heathen Army launched a surprise winter attack. The royal forces were completely shattered. The young English king fled into the freezing swamps. All hope for the Anglo-Saxons seemed completely lost. We are doing a comprehensive series on the grand history of Britain, covering everything from mud villages to fractured kingdoms. New episodes will drop every single week, so make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Deep in the freezing marshes of Athelney, the young King Alfred plotted a desperate rebellion. He operated a brilliant guerrilla war from the muddy swamps, striking Viking patrols with lightning speed and vanishing into the mist. He sent secret messengers across the occupied territories to rally the remaining loyal forces of Wessex. In the spring of 878, thousands of Anglo-Saxon farmers answered their king's call to arms. They gathered at a secret rendezvous point in the dense forest known as Egbert's Stone. Alfred led this newly assembled army to confront the massive Viking force at the Battle of Edington. The English formed a dense, unbreakable shield wall and fought with the absolute desperation of men defending their last home. They relentlessly pushed against the Viking lines until the pagan army finally broke and fled in panic. Alfred besieged the fleeing Vikings in their fortress until starvation forced the warlord Guthrum to surrender. In a brilliant diplomatic move, Alfred did not execute Guthrum, but forced him to accept Christian baptism. This strategic peace treaty divided England in half, securing the independence of Wessex while acknowledging the Viking Danelaw. Alfred knew this peace was only temporary and immediately began preparing his kingdom for future invasions. He completely revolutionized the English military by splitting the citizen army into two rotating halves. This ensured that half the men could farm the fields while the other half stood ready to fight at a moment's notice. Alfred then ordered the construction of a massive network of heavily fortified towns known as burhs. No civilian in Wessex was ever more than a day's desperate march from the safety of these towering wooden walls. The burhs were strategically placed along major rivers to block Viking longships from sailing deep inland. Every landowner was strictly required to provide men to garrison the walls based on the size of their property. This brilliant system meant the Viking raiders could no longer freely plunder the countryside without facing immediate resistance. He also commissioned the construction of larger, faster ships, effectively founding the very first English navy. These new warships were specifically designed to intercept and destroy Viking fleets before they could even reach the coast. But Alfred was not just a military genius. He believed his people had suffered because they had abandoned education. He brought brilliant scholars from across Europe to his royal court to revive the lost art of literacy. The visionary king personally translated great Latin works of history and philosophy into the native Old English tongue. He wanted every freeborn boy of wealthy parents to learn how to read and write in their own native language. Monasteries were rebuilt and heavily funded to replace the vast amount of knowledge destroyed by Viking fires. This massive cultural revival earned him a title no other English monarch has ever achieved, Alfred the Great. When Alfred finally passed away, he left behind a highly organized, literate, and heavily defended kingdom. His capable son, Edward the Elder, inherited the throne and immediately began pushing back against the Danelaw. Edward was joined in this brutal military campaign by his formidable sister, Athelstan, the Lady of the Mercians. If you are enjoying this historical journey so far, please take a quick moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Athelstan was a brilliant, fearless military commander who ruled the central lands with an absolute iron fist. She personally led armies into battle against the Vikings, capturing strategic towns and building her own fortified burhs. Together, the royal siblings launched a relentless, highly coordinated offensive into the heart of the Viking territories. They systematically captured vital strongholds like Derby and Leicester, slowly shrinking the borders of the pagan Danelaw. Viking warlords were forced to swear loyalty to the growing Anglo-Saxon power or face total military destruction. By the time Edward and Athelstan died, the power of Wessex had stretched all the way up to the Humber River. The dream of a fully united England was finally realized by Alfred's brilliant and ruthless grandson, King Athelstan. Athelstan was a highly educated and deeply ambitious monarch who sought to finish what his grandfather had started. In the year 927, he boldly marched his army north and captured the great Viking capital of York. With the fall of York, Athelstan became the very first king to rule over all the Anglo-Saxon people. He proudly minted new silver coins declaring himself the king of all Britain, a title backed by absolute military supremacy. He forced the kings of Scotland and Wales to submit to his authority, demanding heavy tribute in gold and hunting dogs. He led a devastating military campaign deep into the rugged highlands of Scotland to punish rebellious lords. His fleets sailed along the harsh northern coast, plundering enemy settlements to project absolute English naval dominance. Athelstan became a major player in European politics, marrying his half-sisters to powerful continental emperors and kings. His court was a vibrant center of international diplomacy, drawing scholars, poets, and fierce warriors from across the known world. However, his aggressive expansion terrified the other rulers of the island, who feared his growing, unchecked power. A massive, unprecedented alliance was formed to completely destroy Athelstan and crush the newly united Kingdom of England. The King of Scotland joined forces with the King of Dublin and the fierce Celtic warriors of Strathclyde. They launched a massive, combined invasion, sailing a huge fleet of Viking ships into the north of England. In the year 937, Athelstan led his English army to meet this terrifying coalition at the Battle of Brunanburh. It was one of the bloodiest and most significant battles in the entire history of the British Isles. Tens of thousands of warriors clashed on a muddy field, their iron swords ringing loudly against wooden shields. The shield walls slammed into each other with a deafening roar that could be heard for miles around. English archers rained deadly iron-tipped arrows down upon the heavily armored Norse and Scottish front lines. The epic poetry of the time describes the field running red with the blood of 5 fallen kings and 7 Viking earls. The enemy forces were completely crushed by a perfectly timed cavalry charge that shattered their left flank. Athelstan's loyal bodyguards cut their way through the enemy ranks to secure total and absolute victory. His highly disciplined forces ruthlessly pursued the fleeing invaders all the way back to their waiting ships. The catastrophic defeat of the invading alliance firmly secured Athelstan's legacy as the supreme ruler of the island. The victory at Brunanburh proved that the fractured Anglo-Saxon tribes had truly forged a single, unbreakable nation. From the ashes of the ruined heptarchy, the unified Kingdom of England had finally and permanently arrived. The island experienced a long, prosperous period of political stability, rich trade, and brilliant artistic achievement. Craftsmen returned to their workshops to create stunning silver jewelry and intricate glasswork for the royal elite. The English church flourished, and magnificent stone cathedrals began to replace the old wooden monastic sanctuaries. The legal systems were heavily unified, ensuring that a single royal law applied across all the diverse shires of the country. The memory of the terrifying Viking invasions began to slowly fade into the distant pages of history. The English kings believed their powerful, unified nation was completely safe from any future foreign conquests. They could not foresee the dark storm clouds that were slowly gathering once again across the English Channel. A fierce new power had taken root in northern France, descended directly from the very Vikings they had just defeated. These Norman warriors were highly ambitious, heavily armored, and they were hungrily eyeing the wealthy English throne. The hard-won peace of the Anglo-Saxon kings was destined to end in absolute, bloody tragedy. The island was about to face the most famous and devastating military invasion in its entire history. Next week on our channel, the destiny of a nation hangs on a single, fatal arrow. We will witness the dramatic events of 1066 and the legendary, blood-soaked Battle of Hastings. Get ready to see how William the Conqueror violently seized the crown and completely transformed the island forever. You will discover how the powerful Anglo-Saxon elite were brutally wiped out in a single afternoon of slaughter. If you enjoyed this animated journey through the forging of England, hit that like button right now to show your support. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, Stickman Chronicles, so you're first in line when the next episode drops. Thank you for watching. Keep exploring the past, and we will see you right here next week for the ultimate showdown.